programs. Before we jump into this, I just want to introduce myself. As Sarah said, my name is Maria Barca. I'm a professor of anthropology at Seton Hall University. I am a Sussex County resident. I live in Stillwater. I am a member of the library system. And I was very kindly asked a couple of months ago if I wanted to hold a few classes with the library system on different services that the library provides. In this case, right, we're talking about Google. This isn't something that you need to be a member of the library to have access to. Anybody can access Google, but I was asked to teach this little course on just things about Google and Google Workspace, different programs that Google offers that you guys might be interested in. So today we're going to be talking about Gmail, right, which is Google's emailing system that they offer. Google Docs, which is a document or word processing program. Google Drive, which is a cloud that you can store documents and photos and a bunch of different things too. Google Photos, which is similar to Google Drive, but instead you're just focusing on a cloud space for photos and videos. And then we're going to finish off today's class with Google Earth, which is a really exciting and fun program that Google offers where you can explore tons of different places across the planet. You can walk the streets of different cities that you've never visited. You can visit national parks, and you can learn, right? Google has all of these different classes and programs that you can use while you're using Google Earth to learn all about the planet. So those are the 5 programs we're going to talk about today. And then just a little disclaimer, I am not affiliated with Google in any way. I'm not hired by them, nothing of the sort. I'm just here to talk to you guys about these different programs that Google offers. So with all that being said, let's jump into the PowerPoint. And again, if you have any questions as we go throughout, you can put your question in the chat or just remember your question and bring it up at the end of the talk. And that's when I will answer them later to the best of my ability. So everything you need or want to learn about Google, let's jump into it. Before we talk about these programs, I like to go over the history, right, of these different programs that we talk about. In this case, we're going to talk about Google and a little bit about Google's history, right? Google Inc. or Google LLC is a multinational company with a focus on internet services. Now, when we think of Google, we often think of it as a search engine, right? If we say we need to look up something, we've created a verb for it. We have to Google something. But the company provides much, much more than that, as we will see. According to Wikipedia, they do online advertising technologies, a search engine, of course, cloud computing software, and hardware, right? You might have heard of the Google phone. That's an example of the hardware that they create. But the Google, again, we primarily know of is the search engine Google Search. And Google was founded by Stanford University students Larry Page and Sergey Brin on September 4th of 1998. So in the grand scheme of things, Google hasn't been around for that long. My brother was born in 1998, right? When I look at him, I still see a kid in my mind. So to me, right, just based off of that comparison, Google hasn't been around for a really long time. The internet hasn't really been around for an extremely long time either. But what's really impressive about Google and this company and what they produce is they were able to evolve and accelerate extremely rapidly over the years into this giant multinational company today that provides many, many different services and products compared to just the search engine that they created way back in 1998. And so Google was originally envisioned as a search engine that would improve internet searches. So I want to talk a little bit about, really quick, how internet searches were done prior to Google and how Google changed this, just to demonstrate the sort of ingenuity of this product. So previously, a search engine would tabulate the number of times a particular term was found on a web page, and then it would rank the relevant results. So if you wanted to look up a particular recipe, and you go to these older search engines, you would type in that recipe. And what these search engines would do is they would look through all of these web pages, and they would look for the number of times your search terms were found on that web page. If a web page brought up this term 20 times and all these other pages brought them up less than 20 times, that page that mentions this term 20 times would be at the top. It would be considered the most relevant, and that is the web page you would likely click on. But the founders of Google decided to create a new way to conduct searches, because the amount of times a word is mentioned in a web page does not necessarily mean that web page is going to be directly pertinent to what you're looking for, right? It's sort of a correlation causation thing. So the founders of Google created this brand new algorithm. And this algorithm measures the number of times a web page is linked to, with the idea that the more a page is linked to, the more important it likely is. So you will have a web page. If this web page that has this information on this recipe is linked to on these other web pages, and say it's linked to 20 times, and all of these other web pages that also talk about this recipe are linked to less than that, the one that has the most links will be put at the top because it's the one that's being shared the most, right? So I bring this up because, again, this completely changed how we understand search algorithms to work. Now, this is no longer the only algorithm that Google uses, nor is it the only algorithm that other search engines use, such as Bing, right? But it was the first and the most well-known. And so I give you this information so you can kind of see that when Google was founded, it wasn't just trying to recreate the wheel, right? They were thinking, well, what are new ways that we can do about this? New ways that are more productive and more effective. And if you go with that mindset into the programs that Google offers, you can see pretty quickly that they're being very clever and very smart about the many services that they offer. So, in terms of what services Google provides, today they have expanded far from just being a search engine. Google now has many more features, including, just to name a few, Google Docs, which we'll talk about today. Again, that's the word processing software where you can write documents. Google Sheets, which is similar to Microsoft Excel, right, where you have spreadsheets. Google Slides, very similar to PowerPoint. Gmail, that's your email system. Google Calendar, which is one that I personally use all the time. It is this really fantastic calendar that you can use that is highly customizable. Google Translate, very common for people to use that if they are learning a new language. They have an app on the phone where you can basically use it in a really intuitive way. If you're having a conversation with somebody who does not speak your language, it'll translate for you right then and there. And that technology has really improved over the years. Google Maps, something you might use all the time if you have to go somewhere. Google Earth, which we'll talk about later. Google also owns YouTube. They did not initially found YouTube, but they purchased it. And so that's also what Google owns. Google Photos, again, that we'll talk about that in a little bit, among many, many other programs. And I mentioned earlier, Google creates software or hardware, excuse me. So they create phones, laptops. They also run the internet browser, Google Chrome, and they develop apps. So they've really spread themselves very wide to an assortment of different products and services. So for today's class, we're going to talk about 5 different programs that Google offers you. Like I said before, Gmail, Docs, Drive, Photos, and Earth. But before we look into these programs, a lot of them require that you make a Google account beforehand. So I'm not just going to talk about how to use these programs. You might not have a Google account, in which case these programs wouldn't be very useful. So first, we're going to talk about how to make an actual account so you can access some of these programs. All right. So when you want to make a Google account, you are going to go to the Google homepage. You're just going to type google.com into your URL. And you're going to see in the top right corner here, I know this is kind of small, but when you guys get the PowerPoint later, you'll be able to zoom in and refer to all of this again. But in the top right corner, you're going to see a blue button that says sign in. When you click on this blue button, it is going to bring you to a brand new page, and it's going to show you email accounts you might already have with Google. In my case, I have 2 different accounts, but if you don't have any accounts, you'll see this page just without any other information here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on use another account. And that's going to bring you to this brand new page where it says Google sign in. So because you don't have an account yet, you're going to click on create account. And you're going to select who this account is for. If it's for you, you do that. For your child, you can put basically these different safeguards in place that ensure that they, for example, only have access to YouTube Kids, right? Instead of just normal YouTube, or to manage your business if that's what you're interested in. So in my case, if I was making a new account, I would click for myself. And then it's going to bring you to this brand new page where you create your Google account. So what you're going to do here is put in your first and last name. And here you're going to see you're going to put in a username. This username is automatically going to become your Gmail account. So for example, your username, you want it to be something that you'll remember easily. If somebody asks for your email, for example, if you want to sign up for something, it'll be something you can recall. So in my case, it's just my last name with my first initial and the year I was born. So Barca M1994 at gmail.com. And then you're going to put in a password. Always make sure your password is strong. In this case, Google says you have to use 8 or more characters with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. And it'll tell you if your password doesn't meet those qualifications, but definitely make sure you pick a strong password. And then you're going to click on next. And after inserting the relevant data on the previous slide, you'll be prompted to provide extra security on your account. This can be done in 2 different ways. You can add a phone number or an alternative email. So for example, if you include this information, which I highly recommend you do, it basically provides these safeguards to ensure people can't easily hack into your account, for example. But if you include this information, Google may occasionally ask you to confirm your identity if you're logging into your account on a new device. So if you make your account on your computer, and then you download, let's say, the Gmail app on your phone, when you go to sign in on your Gmail app, it'll say, we just want to confirm this is you. If you put in your phone number, they're going to text you a code, or you can get an automated phone call. And when you're going to take that code and you're going to type it into Google to log in, right? And an alternative email can be provided if you can't remember your password. So for example, if you are going to log into Google, let's say it's been a bit and you can't remember your password, you can say you forgot your password. And what it might do, it'll give you a couple different options if you forget your password. But one of them would be, we see this alternative email on file. Can we send you a link to reset your password to this alternative email? In which case you could say yes, log into that other email. Let's say it's a Yahoo account, for example, click on that link and you could reset your Google password. So I highly recommend adding in the phone number or the email. You can even do both, just because it will ensure that you can easily access your account in the future should you forget your password. And that if you are logging into other devices, they can confirm it's you. It is unfortunately a reality in this day and age for people to be hacked, for folks to crack really simple passwords and to get into your account. And regardless if you have anything on your account, you might never use it. There might not be anything important there. That's still your information that somebody is trying to take. So by putting in your phone number and an alternative email, you're just going to keep your account a bit safer. So once you have a Google account, how do you sign into Google? Very straightforward. You are going to go to the Google homepage, press sign in the top right corner, like I mentioned earlier. And now you are going to see your accounts are right here. In my case, I have two different accounts. My top one is for my more professional emails. My bottom one is for just sort of personal stuff if I want to make an account on a clothing website, for example. So let's say I want to go to my professional login because I have some business I need to attend to. I'm going to click on that login. I'm going to type in my password, hit next, and you are logged into Google. Again, if you're logging in on a different device, you've never logged in before, at that point, you might then be prompted to check your phone for a text. The text will contain a code of just a couple of numbers. You put that code in and you'll be able to log into your account. So now that we know how to make an account and how to log into our account, let's start talking about some of these different services, which is the reason why you're here, I'm sure. And we're going to first start with Gmail. Gmail is an email client that is provided by Google. And each Google account you create, if you need more than one, like I mentioned before for myself, each account will have its own Gmail account associated with it as well. This is automatically created when you create your Gmail or when you create your Google account. So whenever you make a Google account, that will become a Gmail account. So how do you access your Gmail account? Well, from Google's front page, if you go to google.com, you're going to see up here, you have Gmail, the link right there, nice and obvious. You're also going to see these 9 dots here. If you click on this little pop-up is going to open, and you'll see Gmail is also right there. You can click on that to also access your email. I'm going to switch my screen over to Google to show you guys a bit about Gmail now. Once my screen goes, there we are. So this is where I just showed you, right? You have Gmail right here, and you can click on these dots where this opens. And you see, you don't just have, right, Gmail and Docs and all of that. You have a bunch of different apps here. And what I really like about this feature is you can really easily move things. You can move them so you can put your most relevant ones at the top. For the sake of this presentation, you can see I put the 5 different programs we're talking about right here, so I don't have to sift through and find them. So I'm just going to click on Gmail right now. And I have it opened over here, but I'm going to shut it down. And this is my Gmail account. So this is my professional Gmail account. It's where I receive emails for doctor's appointments, for different organizations I'm a part of, for my banks, right? And this is what your screen is going to look like when you create a Gmail account. Of course, you're going to have far less emails than me because it'll be a brand new account. But this is what the screen layout looks like. So I want to talk about a couple different things here. This is a pretty extensive email client, and there's a lot of ways you can customize it, which I'll get into in a little bit. But when you first make your account, this is what you're going to see. So right here, this is your compose button. This is how you're going to create email. So if you want to send an email to someone, you're going to click right there, and you'll see this window pops up on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I'm not a huge fan of how small this is. And so if you want to make it bigger, you're going to go right here and you'll see these 2 arrows. You click on that, and this will make your email client a little bit bigger. Up here, you're going to type who your email is to, and there is your subject. And this is going to be the body of the email. You can see here, I automatically have a signature, just so I can make sure all of my emails look uniform and professional. But here is where you're going to type your actual email itself. So you can see down here, you have all of these different features that allow you to change the actual look of your text. So right here, you have different fonts that you can select from. And this I particularly like. This changes your font size. My eyes are not the best, and my screen I'm using is really small right now. So I want to make the text a bit larger just so I can see it a bit more clearly. And now you can see that my text is a bit bigger. Something else I also really like about Google, and more programs are starting to implement this. You might have seen it on the screen. As you are typing, you will see that this is what I just typed. And this is slightly grayed out, right? It's not as dark as the other text is. That's because Google or Gmail right now is predicting what it thinks you are about to say, which I think is really handy if you plan on typing a lot and you don't want to type out every single word if you feel lazy like I often do, right? So if I want to ask somebody, how are you? And you notice that it autofills, what you can do is press tab and it'll fill out the rest of the sentence. This doesn't always happen and it might not always be accurate, but as you're typing, if you see that what it wants, what it predicts you're going to say is not accurate, you can just keep typing. It'll have no idea that, right, it won't mind if you don't click through to autofill. So if I want to, you can see I'm doing well, hit tab, and it'll fill out the rest. When it comes to typing really short sentences, might not be necessary, but sometimes you might have to type out a longer word. Let's see if no, it won't do it there. But sometimes if you type out a longer word or sort of a generic sentence, let's say we want to say, oh my gosh, typos. There we go. I hope you were doing well, right? You can just hit tab and it'll autofill. So that's just a nice little feature. Again, this is more and more common on a bunch of different programs. For example, Microsoft Word has started to implement this. It's very similar to autocorrect, right? On your phone, where it'll predict what you want to say. And if you make a typo, it'll fix it for you. Similar idea here. Just in this case, it's filling out what it thinks you're going to say. You also some other features down here that are common in word processing programs. You can bold your text, right? You can italicize it. You can underline it. You can do all three at once, right? Very common in other text processing programs. Different text colors and even background colors of the email. Here you can change the formatting of the email. So right now everything is on align left. You can change it to, if you highlight, the middle, right? So if you want to format your email in a particular way, you have that option. You can make a numbered list as well. If you want to send somebody some things that they might have to get done, right? You can do a numbered list, right? And it'll automatically fill for you. You can also do bullet points. And let's see. You can do a strike through, where if you want to cross something off, a bunch of things like that. So you have options here to work with to format your emails in a particular way. You also have an attach feature down here. So if you want to attach a photo, for example, or maybe a document, you can do that. You have emojis, right? This is insert photo. So insert photo and attach file are two different things. Insert photo will actually take a photo and it will put it right into the email itself, whereas attach file will, let's see if I can show you guys an example of a document. So now that that's uploaded, right? Attach file means it'll kind of sit at the bottom of the email. And if you click on it, it'll open it up for you. Just like that. So insert photo, however, will put the photo in the actual body of the email. So two different things there. If you are working on this email and something suddenly comes up, oops, and you need to, sorry about that, trying to get back to my screen, it all closed out on me. There we go. If you're working on an email and you need to step away for a second, what you can do is click the X button and it'll say save and close, right? So if you do this, it'll automatically put the email you were just working on in your drafts. So you'll see there's a 1 right here, letting you know that it's in your drafts. If you click on this, it'll bring you to the email you were just working on. If you find that you accidentally clicked compose email and you close it out and it's in your drafts, you can delete the email altogether. And this applies to any emails in your any folder. You have a little box right here. If you press select, it'll turn it blue. And then you hover over here and you have a little trash can. You press delete and the email is now deleted. So that feature applies to all of these different emails. So let's say I have this email letting me know that I signed in somewhere. Let's say I don't want it here. I can click on it, hover over, go to the trash can, and delete it. So that is, if that's something that you are particularly interested in, if you like to really have your emails look really nice and clean, you might want to be deleting things pretty frequently. We can see here that I just got an email. So if I click on it, this email that I just received, it'll open this different page. Up here, if this email is something that I don't want to forget about, you'll see this little star. I can star it, right? So now that star is a little gold. And if I go back, I can then go here under inbox. If I press on my starred emails, you will see that it's now here. This is what I often do if I have an email that I don't want to forget and I want to be able to access it really quickly in the future. And then if I don't need it there anymore, I just press it, I refresh, and it will go away. In terms of, let me talk about these three here before I talk about customizing your page. So this is the standard Gmail page that you will have when you create your account. And you'll see you have three folders here: primary, social, and promotions. Your primary folder is where emails are going to go that Gmail thinks you're going to be interested in wanting access to right away. So for example, my Easy Pass statement is going in my primary folder, as is my bank account for one of my credit cards. Let's see here. An order that I just made is going to go into my primary account, right? So Google is going to try and determine on its own what it thinks you're going to want to have in your primary folder, but you can move things out of your primary folder if you don't want them there. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Your other folder is your social folder. In my case, because my only social media is LinkedIn, that's what all of these notifications are. That's what all of these emails are. But if you're on Facebook, for example, this is where Gmail is going to sort these folders right into your social media folder. And then you have promotions. And actually, if you hover over promotions, right, it says right here, marketing, interests, social and political causes, and other promotional emails. So if I click on here, right, I have from video games, clothing stores, shoe stores, right, all of these different places. Chewy, where I get my cat's food from. This is saying exclusive offers. Let's see, unlock rewards, right? That's what you're going to find in this folder. Yeah, so there's that. So if you find that you have an email in one of these folders that you don't want there, what you can do is you can easily, so I have this one from this bookstore, this online bookstore. Let's say I want this to go in promotions, right? Because it's talking about a debut novel. All you have to do is click on the book. You're going to hold your button down on it, and you're going to drag it to wherever you want it to go. In my case, I want to move it to promotions, then let go, and it will go there. So now I see it's right there now. So that is what the main Gmail page looks like. I'm also going to show you guys really quickly how to customize, and then I'm going to jump into the other ones. So you have a couple different ways to customize your emails here. This you'll see for density. Right now we're set on default. Density basically means how squished are all of your emails going to look. Default means that if you look over here, right, this email has an attachment. Default means that you will see this attachment right here. Comfortable, on the other hand, squishes those attachments away so they take the form of that little paper clip right there. Whereas compact is going to squish everything down even more, so you still have that little paper clip, but the space between all of your emails goes away. I prefer default. I like the extra space. It's just a bit easier to look at. And I like really quickly being able to see where my attachments are. You also have different themes. If that's something you're interested in, you can click on view all and you will have all of these different themes. This is the standard Gmail theme that you will likely start with. You can see everything is white. In my case, I switched to dark theme just because it's a bit easier on the eyes, but you can change the color, you can change the art. You can also change the way your inbox is organized. So right now I'm on default. You can switch it also to unread emails first, for example. So if you click here, it is going to automatically change your what you're looking at, right? So you don't have that primary social and promotions folder. Now, the first emails you will see are all unread emails, right? Emails that you have not opened yet. You can also go to important first. So these are emails that Gmail will say, I think this is important, or you can select are important by clicking on this little golden tag right here. If, for example, you get an email that you don't think is important, you could always click on it and it will go away once the page refreshes. But if it is clicked on and it is gold, it'll go at the very top of your page, and then you'll see everything else is down here. Because I like the way that my email is set up with these 3 different folders, this is what I keep it at. So I keep everything at the default view where I have primary, social, and promotions. So, and you can find all of that different customizable features in the settings in this little gear right here. And that opens up right there for you. And there are some other ways you can explore how to customize your emails in whatever way makes sense for you. So I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint really quick, just to show you guys what our next one is. I'm not going to open it up all the way because we're going to jump from the PowerPoint back to Google pretty frequently. Now we're going to look at Google Docs. So Google Docs is a Word and document processor, very similar to Microsoft Word if you have that on your computer. And it's really handy for people who don't want to pay a yearly subscription for Word or for Microsoft Office Suite. So if you don't want to pay the subscription, or your subscription is about to end and you don't want it to lapse over, if you want to cancel your subscription for Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office, you can do so, but still have access to a document processor. So in order to access Docs, you're going to go back to Google homepage. You're going to click on those dots here, and you'll see the Docs logo, right? The little icon is this little blue paper. So if we jump back there, I'll show you guys what you can do there. And I will just, there we are. So this is my other account, switched me to. So again, you go here, you click on Docs, and it'll open it up in this brand new page. So I don't use Docs too much anymore, but I used to use it quite a bit. And so because I've used it in the past, when I scroll down, I'll see all of these different documents I've opened that people have sent to me. These were different assignments that I had throughout school at a point. You can see right from 2020. So these are all pretty old. So yeah, I primarily used it for school for quite a bit. But if you want to work on a brand new document, you have a bunch of different templates here, which I really, really appreciate. So the first template is going to be just a blank document. There's nothing on it. And if you click on it, you can see there is absolutely nothing here. So you can start fresh on this page, whether you want to take notes on something, if you want to write a letter to someone, but you want to format the letter yourself, you can do that here. A feature that I actually really like is how you can, you'll see right here, type at to insert. So if you type the at key, you'll see all of these different features that you have, including, for example, creating a checklist. So you can use this document to make a checklist of things you have to do, maybe groceries you have to buy, things like that. So if you want to do groceries, you could do milk, eggs, and cheese. And as you type and hit enter, it'll automatically fill in these new check boxes. And as you are done with them, you can press them and they will get crossed off, right? In terms of other features that you have here, you also have bullet points, you have a numbered list. It's all very similar to the different features you have in your Gmail account, where you're basically just given a blank page and you can format it however you would like. As you are working on your document, you will see up here that it's getting saved to Drive periodically as you work on it. So if I want to go back to, let's say, making a numbered list of, or let's do this, things to do, right? And I want to make a numbered list of things that I have to do. As I type, it automatically saves and it automatically goes to your Google Drive account, which we'll look at in a little bit. So that's another huge benefit of using a cloud type service like this. Everything you work on, so long as you have internet connection, is automatically saved. So you don't have to worry about stressing, did I save it? If I forgot to save it, what if I lose power, right? What if my computer turns off? So long as you have internet, this will automatically save. You can also title your document up here. And what it will often do is it will automatically title your document as the first couple of words of your document. So in my case, that's really handy. I wrote things to do and it automatically populated the title of this document up there. And then you can type clean and go shopping, right? You can type in the things that you have to do. So in terms of growing acclimated to this type of program, it's really a matter of experimenting with it and seeing what you can do with it. What I also really like about this program is you have this share feature up here. I'm not going to click on it because when you click on it, it will give you different emails that you can send this document to. And I don't want to accidentally show emails of other people, right, who don't know that their email is going to be on this presentation. But if you click on it, it will basically say, okay, give us an email or a phone number, and we can send this document to that person. And you can set it so that person can only view the document or so they can edit the document. So if you're working on a project together, you can work on the document while they're working on it. That was extremely handy when I was in school and we would have group projects and we're all in different places at once, but wanted to work on the paper at the same time. So that is really, really handy. But we also have a couple other templates here that I want to highlight really quick. So that's the blank template, right? That's just the plain document page. But you also have other templates. You have a letter template. If you want to write somebody a letter, you can click on this template here and you'll see, right? It's just filled with generic info just to let you know this is what the template looks like. So up here it says your name, 123, your street, right? And all you have to do is just back out here and you can put in all of your information, right? So I would put my address, my town, my state, my zip code, etc., the date, whoever I'm writing this letter to, and all of it is formatted really nicely for you here. So you don't have to worry about if you formatted incorrectly or any issues like that. And if I go back, we can look at some of the other templates. You have resume templates, which are really convenient if maybe you don't know how to build a resume or you don't know how to format a document in order to make it look like a really nice resume. You also have a couple different resumes, different letters. You also have business letters if you need to write something a bit more professional. You have recipe pages, right? Everything is formatted for you already if you want to document a recipe that you really like, maybe something you developed on your own. So you can have everything already formatted for you. You just delete the generic text that's here and you type in exactly what you want to put in. Let's see what else we have. If there's anything else I wanted to highlight really quick, and then we will jump to Google Drive. Let's see. So we also have an entire work section that again has a slightly more professional formatting, right? Stuff that looks really clean and nice. You have a different legal section. human resources section, freelancer section, an education section. So whatever you need a potential template for, it is available here for you. Next, let's go to the PowerPoint really quick. And let's jump into talking about Google Drive. So Google Drive is a file storage cloud. That means it is not hardware that the files are being stored on, right? You can access your documents, your photos, anything you could imagine anywhere that you have access to Google Drive, including internet access. And documents created in Google Docs will automatically be saved to Google Drive, like I mentioned. As with all the other apps we looked at so far from the Google homepage, if you click on those dots, this is the icon for Google Drive. So we will jump over there now and look at it a little bit. So this is what Google Drive looks like right when you open it up. And you can see the different documents that we opened up in Docs are automatically showing up here. So this is going to show the first couple of documents up here are going to be the ones you most recently looked at for easy access. But as you scroll down, you will see these are all these other documents, including photos that I stored on Google Drive. So I'll zoom in a little bit just to kind of show you. We have these little blue icons or documents, right? This is a PDF that's stored here. These are different photos. You can tell they're photos because the actual image is the icon. This is a spreadsheet. So it's similar to Microsoft Excel, right? This is Google's version of a spreadsheet. And this is a Word document. So this is a Google Doc, and this is a Word doc that was uploaded here. That's just Microsoft's document processing, right? So when you're here, all you have to do is select New. And then if you want to upload a file, you click on File, Upload. And here, this brings me automatically to my documents. Let's say I want to upload, this article that I taught my students. And I want it to be here, nice and safe. So now that it's uploaded, right, in this bottom corner here, you can see, I'm trying to move my zoom. You can see it says one upload complete, and that's the title of the document. And I can find it right here now. And so if I click on this, it shows me the PDF. And this was something that I assigned my students last semester. And so I have access to it here. I can also download the PDF. So if I click on this, it will automatically, for me, open it with Adobe Acrobat. That is my PDF reader that's on my computer. So that's really handy. You can also print right from here. And if you click here, you can share it with other people. So you can put in their email and send this document right to them. You can star it if you want to make sure you don't forget it, if it's important. You can rename it, right? If you don't like the name of the document, you want to change it a little bit. So you have a bunch of different features to work with here. If you want to click on a picture, for example, this was something that I made a couple of years ago when I was taking a class. You have the same options: download, print, share, add star, rename, etc. So let's see over here. Okay. I also have a couple of different folders here that you can create. If you want to create a folder, you go back to New and you click on Folder, and then you can title this folder. Let's say this is something for school that I want to create. I now have this brand new folder right here, and I click on it, and here I can upload photos that pertain to, in this case, school. Then I also want to point out something over here. You'll see right here, last modified, and you'll see these particular dates. And next to most of these, you'll see it says May. So this says that on August 23rd of 2020, I created this folder for teaching, and it was last modified on that date by myself. Whereas, let's see, things to do, right? This was what I just created in that document before, right? Clean, go shopping, etc. it says right here that this was last modified on 11:38 a.m. by me. Whereas down here, you'll see this is owned by a completely different person. This is not owned by me, right? And it was last modified by this person on that date. And because both of us have access to this document, you'll see these two little people right here. So this lets you know that more than one person has access to this document. It's not just you. This is the person who owns the document, and it'll give you the name of the last time it was modified. So in this case, they modified it. If I modified it last, then it would say my name. So let's now look at Google Photos because we are getting a little short on time. Google Photos is very similar to Google Drive in that it is a photo storage cloud. So, well, Google Drive, you can store photos, Word documents, PDFs, right? You name it. Google Photos is exclusively for photos and videos. And it's a really handy place to back up photos that you don't want to lose. I highly recommend using something like Drive and Photos if maybe you have a computer that's a little on the fritz, you're not totally sure if it's going to last a very long time and you don't want to lose all the things that are on it. Or if you're like me, you like to be very particular about backing up your important documents and your important photos, things you don't want to lose, things that are important to you, you can upload them to these clouds just so they're there just in case. Google Photos is also a great place to share photos to other people really quickly, and especially videos that are too large to send via email. You'll find that as you're emailing people, if you want to send a video or maybe a photo that's too large, Google Gmail will prompt you to send it to them through Google Drive or Google Photos because you can send really large files that way, but you're limited by how large the files are through Gmail. So just something important to keep in mind. This is the photos icon that you can find by clicking on these 9 dots right here. And we will jump over to it now. There's less to say about photos than I think most of these programs, just because it is very straightforward. So you can see here, I have 3 things uploaded to Google Photos for the sake of this demonstration. And each of these dates up here, you'll see Thursday, April 30th, 2020, Monday, June 4th, 2018, and Friday, April 4th, 24th, 2015. These aren't the dates that these were uploaded. This is actually the date that these photos and videos were taken. So if you are taking a photo on your smartphone or on maybe a nice professional camera, the hardware actually contains the data from when that photo was taken. And if you then plug in, let's say, your phone into your computer and you upload those photos right to your computer and then to Google Photos, it'll keep that data. So then on Google Photos, you'll be able to see exactly when that photo was taken or when that video was taken. So when you have, in this case, this is a photo and this is a photo and this is a video, you can see it's a video because up here you have a little play button and it tells you how long this video is. And when you hover over it, it'll give you a quick preview of a couple of seconds so you can see what the actual video is going to play. When you click on a photo, you also have some options to edit it, which might be interesting to some people. So when you have the photo open like this, not just editing, I'll show you the other features here. This is share. So if you click on this share feature, which again, I'm not going to click on because it'll show emails of people who I've spoken to recently, and I don't want their emails popping up here. But if you click on share, it'll say insert an email or a phone number, and we will send this photo right to that person. And again, very useful, especially if sending something over email is too large. You can send it to another person's photos account. You have edit right here. If you hover over, you'll see it says edit. And if you click on this, you have a bunch of different options to change this photo. So you have the lighting of the photo that you can change. I'm going to put that back to normal. The color of the photo, if you want to make it more black and white, or if you want to make the color pop a bit. And then you have this feature, which will sort of make the color very intense. I'm going to bring that back down a little bit. You also have this feature right here, which allows you to crop the photo and rotate it. So if I want to crop it so you only see the cats, I can do that just like that, and it'll zoom it in a little bit. You can also rotate the photo if that's necessary. Let's say you change the shape of the photo and you don't really like it. If you hit done, it'll keep the photo this way, but if you hit reset, it'll automatically bring the photo back. And then if you hit done, nothing to the photo has been changed. You also have different filters over here. So if you want to turn the photo black and white, right? Or maybe just change the way the lighting looks, you can do that. And if you find after you mess with all of this that you don't really like how it looks, right? You can click undo edits and it'll bring the photo back to normal, and then done, and the photo was unchanged. You can star the photo if it's something you want to favorite. So if you have a lot of photos here, you won't lose it. And of course, you can also delete the photo. So for anything that you favorite, it'll go into your favorites folder. In my case, because I only have a few photos here, I don't have any favorites, but that's definitely a really good idea if you find yourself uploading a lot of photos here and you don't want to lose track of the ones that really, really stand out to you. There's also a really great feature here called the print store, which might be appealing to people who really like to have physical photos. If you click on print store, you'll see you have a couple different options to order your photos that you upload onto Google Photos. So if you want photo prints, they start at 18 cents. If you click on order prints, you can then select which one that you want. Let's say I want a photo print of this one. And then up here, you're going to click done. And it'll open up this brand new page. Here, again, you have the option to edit the photo before you request that it get turned into a physical print. You can also select how many photos you would like. Let's say I want 3 that are 4x6. Then you click next. It'll give you delivery options. In this case, I want it shipped to me. You press next. And here it's going to ask for your shipping information, right? So you would put in your address, your credit card, you would save everything, and then it would prompt you to actually go about the purchase. So if you really like having physical photos, which I completely understand, I love physical photos, you can upload things here and have them immediately printed and shipped to you, which I think is a really, really fun feature to have available. If you want to upload photos, you have an upload button right here. And if you click on this, you have 2 options. You can upload right from Google Drive, or you can upload from your computer. In my case, I want to upload from my computer. And let's say I want to upload this one of my dog. So you can see right now it is uploading. And it's all done. So it tells me the item is uploaded. I can X out of here, and there he is. And again, it's telling me that the date this was taken was Saturday, November 13th, 2021. I don't think that's completely accurate, just because if you look in the background, it's really lush and green outside. And I remember I took this picture with him. It was like a beautiful summer day. So at some point, as this photo was probably being jumped around from different devices, this date wound up changing. So it's not always going to be accurate. But for example, I know this is accurate. I remember taking this back in 2015, etc. So don't take this information as gospel, but it can certainly help you figure out when a photo was taken. And last but not least, I think one of the most fun features that we're going to talk about is Google Earth. This is a program that allows users to explore places all across the globe. It could be a learning tool or simply a fun way to travel across the world. If you have grandchildren or children, you could sit down with them and have an absolute ball with this program. And then really quick, you would access this by clicking on those dots and clicking on Google Earth right there. So when you click on Google Earth, this is what you see. You're going to see our beautiful planet, and you can take your mouse and click all around to move the globe. And you can see right now, right, we can see these different clouds and weather patterns, which you can actually remove that as a feature if you like. I'll show you guys that in a second. So you have a couple different ways you could explore here. you're going to click on these couple of lines and it's going to open up this small little menu. You can click on search, where you can look up a particular place that you want to look at. So earlier, I wanted to find somewhere close to home. So I wanted to look up ShopRite in Newton. So I can do this, and it says it's part of my recent searches, but I can also click right here, ShopRite of Newton on Water Street. And if I click here, and depending how your internet signal is, this will take a little bit longer. It is going to zoom in to the ShopRite of Newton. And as you give it a couple of seconds, you'll see down here, this is the percentage it's at as it loads. The picture is going to clear up, and you will find yourself in this aerial view of the ShopRite of Newton. So when you're here, I'm going to move zoom out of the way again over there. When you're here, you have a couple of other options. In particular, this is my favorite. You have this globe right here, and you have this little stick figure guy. If you click on him and you pull him out and you give it a second, you will see a bunch of streets turn blue. When the street is blue, you can then drop this person, and it's going to zoom in on that particular location. What this means is that there was a Google car that drove through this area, basically taking photos of the entire area. Now, once you're here, you will see you have these two arrows. These arrows, if you click on them, let you then move down the street. So right now I'm in Newton, right? A place we're probably all pretty familiar with. So this is not particularly exciting, but I wanted to show you guys somewhere that we're all familiar with, right? And how you can use these different features to travel about. Again, depending on your internet signal, it'll depend how quickly this loads. Right now, it's not too bad, so it's loading at a pretty okay pace. But let's say you want to travel somewhere a bit further from home, right? You want to do some exploring. If you click on that arrow up here, it'll bring you back out to this aerial view. And if you click on the globe in the bottom right-hand corner, it will zoom you all the way back out. So from here, let's say, and I'm going to close that. Let's say we want to travel somewhere very far from home, and we want to go all the way to Australia. Well, I'm going to zoom in, because you don't just have to type in a place you want to visit. You can actually zoom in on your map and find somewhere. And as you zoom in, you will see more and more information is given to you. And this will start appearing in just a second. So you can see we now have Queensland and New South Wales. And I believe Brisbane is somewhere over here. And so there it is. As we zoom in more, I can just click on Brisbane. And after I click on this city, I can click on this little paper airplane where it says fly here. And it's going to bring us all the way down into Brisbane. So from there, I can keep zooming in. This is pretty tough to do on a laptop that is also on a Zoom call, but I am doing my very, very best. So as we zoom in here, you'll see more and more of the city starts to come into view. And let's say we want to look at, where would we want to visit? Let's visit the Museum of Brisbane. And so if we click on that particular location, let's see if we can zoom in a little further into it by clicking on fly here. There we go. So now it's bringing us a bit further into the city. And from this point, we can grab this little guy in the bottom corner, give it a second to load up the streets. Let's see when they'll load up the streets. There we go. And we have a lot of options here. So let's say I want to just drop him right here. This looks like the very front of the museum.
And let's see if it will zoom in for us. There we go. Slow and steady. Okay. And here we are in front of the museum. You can see the Google car at some point came through, and we can click on these little arrows to travel around the streets. So let's say we click this way. It's not always a car, from what I understand. It could be people on like a bicycle, just somebody who is tasked with driving around these different streets. And here we are. We are now in Brisbane in Australia. And it even tells us the particular street that we're on. So this is obviously a bit easier for you to explore when you're not streaming your screen and in a Zoom call, right? So it'll work a bit faster, hopefully, for all of you at home. But as you are using Google Earth, you will find that you can explore all over the place. And Google Earth isn't just this. It isn't just, right, the entire map that you can explore. If you go back to that menu section, you will see this little link called Voyager. And this I really like, and this I think is a really fun way to learn different things. Voyager basically puts together all of these different projects compiled by Google Earth, where you can explore the world and learn different things at the same time. So for example, you can visualize snow cover in Google Earth. And as you hover over this, it says, see how the Earth's snow cover changes throughout a single year in this animated data layer. So if you click on this, it'll bring you to different parts of the world where you can see a time lapse of how the snow covers certain areas. You can also see tsunamis throughout history, watersheds of the United States. It'll show you all of these different water systems from this aerial perspective, right? And give you time lapses in real time. 10,000 years of volcanoes. This is put together by the Smithsonian, right? So you have all these different things you can click on. You can travel the world, and it's all sort of put together in this nice little package by Google Earth. And you can learn all of these things while you're there. And if you just want to be on Google Earth and you just want to explore, you don't know where you want to go, but you just want to look around, in this menu, you will see this little die right here. And as you hover over it, it says, I'm feeling lucky. If you click on it, it will then take you out of wherever you are and immediately throw you into a brand new location. In this case, we are going to a reservoir in Alberta, Canada. And it even tells you a little bit about this reservoir while you're here. And you can do this over and over and over again. It'll bring you to all different places. So this is just a really fun and interesting, I don't want to say little, right? It's a pretty massive project that they put together here, but a really fun and interesting way for you to explore all over the world, places you would never imagine visiting, places you never thought existed, right? And you can learn all about these places as well. So with that all being said, let's go through a little bit more, just some extra information that I think is good for everybody to know as you use these different programs. Google Drive, Photos, and Gmail all share the same storage quantity. So the average account has about 15 gigabytes of space between the three programs. Now, for a lot of people, this is a good amount of space. You won't need more than that. But if you have a lot of stuff you want to store there, or if you lose track of your documents, emails, and photos quickly, this space can be really taken up. A way to kind of negate this is by deleting emails that aren't important to you, such as going through your promotions and your spam. That can really help free up space. But if you want more space, Google does offer a subscription plan. I'm going to walk you through that in just a second. So let's say you're on Google Photos, and this is what the side of the menu looks like. You'll see this storage information down here. So on my account, I'm using 3.7 gigabytes of 15 gigabytes. Let's say you use far more than me and you want to upgrade the space. Click on that storage information and it'll bring you to this new page. It'll actually show you right here a breakdown of what's taking up the most space. In my case, Google Photos just takes up this tiny bit there. It's Drive, Gmail, and others that take up more space. But for me, most of my space is still available.
But let's say you need to get more space. You have this link here for get more storage. When you click on that, you're going to be shown two different options of how to buy more storage. You can select a monthly where you buy 100 gigabytes for $1.99 a month, 200 gigabytes for $2.99 a month, or 2 terabytes, that's a massive amount of space, for $10 a month. Or you can purchase annually 100 gigabytes for $20 a month, 200 for $30, or I'm sorry, for $20 a year, 200 gigabytes for $30 a year, and 2 terabytes for $100 a year. So it's a matter of how frequently do you want to pay and how much extra space do you need. Let's say you want to go for the 100 gigabytes. You click on that and it will bring you to a new page where you're going to add your payment method, a credit card or debit card, PayPal, or you might have a code that you can redeem. You're going to put in your information there and save it, and that will then allow you to purchase this extra space. If you find that you have questions or want information on content that I didn't cover here, Google provides a really robust help feature that's there for you to use. These help features are both embedded into these different programs that I discussed here and can also be found on Google's homepage. So for example, if you're using Google Docs and you find that you have some questions, you need help with something, on the side of the page, you'll see help and feedback. If you click on that, it's going to open up a menu for you of commonly asked questions. And if you don't find your answer there, there is an option to click through and see more questions. Google Earth, very similar. If you open up the menu, you will see a help button right there. Google Drive, Google Photos, and Google Docs look a little bit differently, or I'm sorry, Gmail look a little different. At the very top of each of these screens, you're going to see not too far from your account icon, a little question mark that is going to bring you directly to those help pages. Further, there is a way to access these help features for even more programs that Google offers. So from the Google homepage, you click on the top left corner, you'll see About. And if you click on this...
Excuse me, Maria, your screen is still stuck on Google Earth.
Oh, is it really? Oh, no, I'm sorry about that. That's so odd. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me go back really quickly and show you what I just went over. Okay. So if you want to, really quick, this is what I just went over with the storage info. So if you find that you need extra storage, if you're on Google Photos, for example, you'll see storage in the bottom hand, on the bottom of the menu. And if you click on that, it's going to bring you to this brand new page where you will see here, this bar tells you how much storage is being used by what. In my case, Google Photos is just a tiny little sliver right there, whereas Google Drive is taking up more of the space. If you really need more space, you can click on Get More Storage. And this is going to bring you to these two purchasing options I mentioned before. On the left, you have monthly storage options. On the right, you have yearly subscription options. And let's say you want to buy extra space, you click on how you want to pay. It'll bring you to this page, and that's where you put in your credit card info. Click on Save, and you will buy the extra storage. If you find that you need other help, like I mentioned, Google has really extensive help options. So on Google Docs and on Google Earth, if you open up their menus, you will see this little question mark here that says help and feedback. If you click on either of those, it's going to give you a menu. And from that menu, it's going to give you really commonly asked questions. If your question is not found there, there is a link to click through. It'll bring you to a brand new page. And in that brand new page, it'll give you a ton of different questions you might have. And then for these other three programs, you will see that rather than the help button being on the sidebar,
It's actually at the very, very top of the page here as a question mark. If you have any questions, always look for that question mark. That will bring you to Google's help section. And then if you're using other Google products and other programs that I didn't talk about here, there is another way to actually access the help features for all of Google's different products and services. So in order to access that, you're going to go to Google's homepage, and in the top left-hand corner, you will see About. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to this brand new page. And on this brand new page, you're going to scroll to the very, very, very bottom. And you're going to see under Company Resources, the word Help Center. You're going to click on that, and it's going to bring you to a bunch of different programs and services that Google offers. And you can see here, this is just a couple. I have a couple more slides to show you of everything that they offer, right? And you can select any of these links, and it'll bring you to the help page for that particular product or service. So for example, if you need help with YouTube, you click there, help with Gmail, you click there, right? It's all very straightforward. So why is Google useful for you to use, right? It isn't just a search engine, though the search engine is extremely important and extremely significant, helpful in everyday life, but it also provides a suite of programs available to you for little to no cost. Gmail can allow you to connect with your family and friends, join websites or different programs that might require an email, and even set up electronic payments for your monthly bills. If you need to log in with an email account, you can use your Gmail account to do that. Google Docs allows you to work on different projects, take notes, or make lists either by yourself or with others. Google Drive allows you to store your documents and projects in one secure place that can be accessed anywhere that you have internet access. Google Photos allows you to store and share photos to your friends, family, and loved ones. And Google Earth allows you to explore different countries and cultures all across the world. And so the services provided by Google and discussed here are just some ways that you can organize, create, share, and explore. You can better connect to friends, family, and loved ones by using the programs provided to you by Google Workspace. But there are even more programs to enjoy that I didn't discuss here. Make sure you explore them and see what else you may want to use. I hope this talk was both informative and helpful in giving you all the confidence to navigate some programs provided by Google. Thank you all so much for your time.